Well, hello, friends. This is the weekly wrap up with me, Amy. I'm Amy Stone. I'm the creator of the art of imperfect adulting. This is where I share what's happening in my world, celebrate the amazing feedback from listeners like you, and give you the inside scoop on this week's conversations, what's coming next week, and a peek behind the scenes of what I'm up to. So let's do it. All right, here we go. This week, somebody sent me pom poms, right? And I thought it was a little goofy, but it turns out they're super fun, and I needed pom poms in my life. Thank you, Katerina, for that. Super fun. Incorporate pom poms into my daily self cheer thing. Anyway, in other news, my electronics are continuing to do weird things in my life. Last week, I was replacing my Run headphones, which is just, they were like old and it was time. This week, my phone spontaneously decided to turn Siri on. So truthfully, it went through an update, which is fine. Like it does that. You go to bed and you wake up and it's like, hey, new update. But and then Siri turned herself on, and as I was doing things, all of a sudden the phone would like light up and be trying to talk to me, and I was like, "What? Why? I turned you off years ago. I don't need you talking to me in my life. It's very interrupting. I don't actually have like." Anything. It just interrupts my flow. So it took me a couple of days, but I turned it off and everything is much better. It took me a couple of days because I was like, wow, what's happening? And I didn't have a chance to focus on it. Anyway, let's talk about the show instead of my like neurotic relationship with my phone. There are three episodes that released this week. We'll go through them in reverse order. Kathy Burns, she and her husband moved from Florida to California after 9/11, and she shares that story and why it happened and all the things. And it allowed her to take a full year off from working in a job to connect with her passion and figure out what she wanted to do next. That turned out to be organizing. She's very, very passionate about organizing. One of the things that I remember that stuck with me from Kathy's conversation is that she said, we were broke after when we needed to move after 9/11. They were broke. California is very famously expensive, but she and her husband had a conversation. It was like, well, we can be broke here, we can be broke there. Where do we want to be? And I think that is a really kind of helpful mindset for me. A lot of decision making. It really stuck with me. So Deanna Brakefield, Deanna, and if my memory is correct, her entire family have a type of neurodivergence. I don't think all the same type, but different types maybe. She shares with me what we talk about is the transformation in their life when she made the choice to start a radio show. And on the radio show, she talks about neurodivergence and her family and also stories from the community. And there's a couple things that I remember from this interview. First of all, the words radio show did not mean exactly what I was expecting. I was expecting like the 1980s, like tower and antenna and airwaves and broadcast signal and FCC. No, this is a streaming show, which is great. But it's just that what I thought we were talking about and what we ended up talking about were not exactly the same. And that's that whole like expectations, unmet expectations, realigning thing. So that definitely happened at the beginning of this interview when I was like, wait, what are we talking about? And what is this? And that was a lot of fun. It's a streaming station called KFred, the station she's on, which I think has an overall neurodivergent concept, which is also fantastic. So the other thing that I love about this story is that this experience she had is very similar to one of the reasons that I make this show. It is my opinion that when we feel like our own individualness or our uniqueness in any way is not welcome, or we have to mask it or obscure it or cover up, it doesn't fit into the bigger community of our lives, that can generate a feeling of isolation, unwantedness, and if you turn it inside, and loneliness, and if you turn it inside on you, really can dig into your concepts of self-worth and self-value, in my opinion. So I believe that one of the most valuable and powerful things that we can do in this very modern time is with technology, connecting with other people who have similar and aligning situations with us. And so I really enjoyed how Deanna is doing that and how it is a good and positive thing that's happening in their lives. I feel lucky to get to share that story with my audience. That's you guys. Third, interview that dropped this week, Jillian Scott. Jillian is a binge eating coach, and she shares her personal story about binge eating. We talk about when and where her personal concepts of identity and size and weight may have started or originated from. And I happen to think that that's pretty helpful work a lot of times for a lot of people who are working hard or trying to be happy and content and loving to themselves about the size and shape and performance in our very own human meat sacks, our bodies. That is not just for me always about body size positivity, which I think is a great thing and I like to embody and encourage, but also aging bodies and just other shifts that happen in our bodies that cause us to question, like, is my body okay? All of those things, right? So these things, I enjoyed that conversation. I enjoy this conversation with Jillian. These days, anytime I talk to anybody who's doing body size work or weight loss coaching, I throw in questions about the GLP-1 drugs. Some people enjoy that conversation with me and are ready for it, and others do not. Jillian was totally down for it. We have a nice conversation. She's a delightful person. I'm glad she was on the show. So thank you to all of my guests. If you missed any of those episodes, they're there for you whenever you want to watch them. So, for a peek behind the scenes of what's happening in the production of the show, believe it or not, I'm very close to finishing recording interviews for the year of 2025. And not in the next day or two, but in the next couple of weeks, that will be complete. And that will be the end of season one, which is an entire year in my case. That's kind of amazing to me. And the show has experienced tremendous growth. And I'm very, very thankful to the audience that has come and all of the guests. And I will be continuing to grow the show and do more things and set new goals and all that fun stuff. Also happening is that this week I was on the Women on the Left podcast with my friend Megan Dirks. I love being a guest on other shows for lots of reasons. First of all, I think it's fun. And another reason is that putting me in the position of being a guest keeps me honest on the whole guest experience, right? And so she sent me a full pack of everything that was going on and including video clips. And I was like, my heart did a little pitter pat. I was like, oh, I wonder what I said. But then I watched the clips and I was like, oh, those are good. That's a lot of fun. And so I shared them on social media. You can find her show, Girl on the Left. She's also got a book and a project. It's a really great movement. It's talking about the reconciliation between, the girl on the left is in the before and after photos for transformation. So like, I think of fitness photos like this was the start of the fitness journey. And here I am 6 months later, and that's the way I think of it. It's also could be renovations and things, but that's who the girl on the left is. All right, looking forward, coming up in the following week, it'll be September. That's super fun. This is the last week of August. I will be in full launch youngest kid into college mode starting next month. There are 4 episodes coming out, I think, each week in September. That's super fun. Upcoming guests that you can be ready for: Lola McLean, Jill Kaufman, Dr. Angela Downey, and Janelle Martin. So that's what's coming. Yay. It only took me, I think this is like the 5th one of these I've done. It only took me that long to remember to actually tell you about what was coming up in these recap videos. There we go. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I only post this wrap up video on YouTube, at least for now. I'll be back in a day or two with more interviews and stories right here. You're smart. You know how this works. If you subscribe here on YouTube, you'll know when there's something new here on YouTube. And YouTube does a great job. It's not invasive. It's a wonderful place to subscribe. I don't do time sensitive offers or things like that on social media or here on YouTube. So if you want the inside scoop of what I'm working on, how you can work directly with me, where I am, things I'm doing outside the podcast, then you need to subscribe to the Art of Imperfect Adulting email community. I just don't put that information out here. So email is where I let you know all about that good stuff. That's it. That's a wrap. Over and out. Until we meet again. This is Amy Stone signing off.